A very good evening to everyone here, the esteemed guests, professors, and the students. I'm Mary Prashanti, a full-time research scholar, Department of English. I'm honored to welcome you all to the book release event of my Teacher Non Pareil. It is my pleasure to invite our honored guests to take their places on the dais. First, I would like to welcome the president of today's book release event, Professor C. Vani, Dean of School of Social Sciences, Humanities and Management, Shri Padmavati Mahila Vishwavidyalaya. Next, I would like to invite our chief guest, Professor V. Uma, the Vice Chancellor, Shri Padmavati Mahila Vishwavidyalaya. Following that, we have Professor Madhurantakam Narendra, a renowned Telugu writer and former professor of English at SV University, who is also a Sahitya Academy awardee. We are delighted to have him as our special invitee. I also welcome our guest of honor, Professor M. Rajini, Registrar of SPMVV. Finally, I would like to invite Professor P. Haripadmarani, Department of English, Shri Padmavati Mahila Vishwavidyalaya, who is the author of the book.
रघुपति राघव राजा पतित पावन सीताराम। रघुपति राघव राजा पतित पावन सीताराम। रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम। रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम। सीताराम 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 भज प्यारे तू सीताराम। सीताराम सीताराम भज प्यारे तू सीताराम। ईश्वर अल्लाह तेरे नाम सबको सम्मति दे भगवान। 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 सबको सम्मति दे भगवान।
Good evening, everyone. I feel extremely elated that a book I have written about one of my gurus is being released in the presence of stalwarts, you see in front of you, in the very university where I have been working for the last 28 plus years. By way of introductory remarks, I would do three things. The first thing is to introduce the dignitaries on the day, which is customary in every meeting, but I will do that very, very briefly. And the second thing is to introduce the focus of this event, that is Professor Sudhakar Marathe. And the third thing I would like to do is to tell you very briefly what this book is all about and why I have attempted this. Okay. So now to begin with an introduction to our chief guest, Professor Uma Venam. Immediately after passing out from the Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai, she joined Sri Padmavati Mahila University at the age of 22. So she has been here, hold your breath, for the last 42 years. And well, she has served the university in various capacities, such as director admissions, dean, warden, rector, and even in charge vice chancellor for 2 terms. And now she has been our full-fledged regular vice chancellor since February this year. What I thought I would do is I'll just point out some of the qualities each of these dignitaries possesses, and share with Professor Marathe himself, instead of reading out their biodatas. So coming to Professor Uma, both of them, both Professor Sudhakar Marathe and Professor Uma, studied in the UK with an international scholarship. Professor Uma as a Commonwealth Fellow and Professor Sudhakar Marathe as a British Council Scholar. And both of them are collaborative and participative leaders known for their multiple competencies. Both of them are multitaskers. She is both a fine academic and an efficient administrator. She is concerned more about the growth of her students and the department than her own personal growth. And she values and insists on, as she has just proved, punctuality, diligence, and effective communication. I remember Professor Marathe telling us, I don't mind if you bring your breakfast to class, but be on time. And now coming to, Professor N. Rajani, the guest of honor. She hails from the Department of Home Science, and she has also served the university in several roles, and she is known for her charming personality, just like Professor Marathe was. And Professor Sivani, our dean and the coordinator of PM USHA scheme, she is a professor of communication and journalism, and now she is also the dean of our school. If you walk into her room with a problem that weighs you down, you walk out in no time wondering what the problem was. Such a problem solver she is. She has the knack for problem solving, which in the current lingo they call troubleshooter. So I would call her a troubleshooter. And now coming to my research guide and yet another guru, Professor M. Narendra. I have just said a few things about him a couple of months ago during one of the national conferences our colleagues have organized here in the very hall. I call him my guru in the sense in which Ilayaraja defines a guru. Ilayaraja says, in whosever presence you feel peace of mind, devoid of complete fear, such a person is your guru. So in that sense, he is my one more guru of mine. Coming to the qualities Professor Marathe and Professor Narendra share, if Professor Marathe, there are also points of contrast between the two. If Professor Marathe is an awe-inspiring guru, Professor Narendra is a fear-allaying guru. If Professor Marathe's passion was inquiring into the physical nature surrounding us, Professor Narendra's interest lies in exploring human nature, which is what his writings testify to. Both of them, coming to comparable points, both of them are apostles of regional literatures, mother tongues, and translations. And both are widely read in their respective areas of interest. Humility and modesty characterize both the gurus. Professor Narendra now spends much of his retired time reading and writing. Biographies and autobiographies are his favorite genres for consumption, while short stories and novels are his niche genres of production. And he has received the Kendriya Sahitya Academy Award for the year 2022 for his novel Manodharma Paragam. And he has many awards and honors to his credit. I'm not going to read out all of them, but you can just Google him up and you will find all the details there. So now coming to introduce the main person of this event, that is Professor Sudhakar Marathe. Born in the year 1944 in Pune, Professor Marathe took his BA degree from Ferguson College, Pune, and MA in English from the University of Pune. He did his MA in Linguistics, a second master's, from the University of North Wales, and PhD on T.S. Eliot's Shakespeare criticism from the University of Western Ontario, Canada. He got the British Council scholarship for his MA in Linguistics and the University of Ontario scholarship for his PhD. Professor Marathe taught at various premier institutions such as Ferguson College, Science College Dhulia, Indian Institute of Management Ahmedabad, Central Institute of English and Foreign Languages, which we call IFLU today, and the University of Pune, the Northeastern Hill University Kohima, and the University of Hyderabad, from where he retired in 2006 November. He authored and edited more than 15 books and translated several books from Marathi to English. All his books, most of his books were published by such leading publishers as Oxford University Press, Macmillan India, Orient Longman, Penguin, and National Book Trust. He published numerous articles and chapters on a variety of subjects such as narrative theory, Shakespeare, T.S. Eliot, Rudyard Kipling, Margaret Wilson, criticism, fiction, dramatic pedagogy, language pedagogy, translation, popular literature, colonialism, English in India, etc. He also published countless articles, chapters, and translations in Marathi. He is also a contemporary poet who wrote many poems. Special mention has to be made about his production of extensive materials for classroom use. He would prepare such material which the students would not get anywhere else and give it to them by way of handouts. I have several of them. Those of you who are interested can come to my cabin. I'll show them to you. And even in the pre-computer days, he would sit before a typewriter and type highly useful, lengthy materials all by himself. He typed all the books he authored himself. Among his varied interests, translations of poetry, fiction and essays, student theatre, bird watching, environmental conservation are the chief ones. He held many coveted positions such as Member Board of Studies, University of Pune, Member Academic Council, University of Hyderabad, Member Executive Council, University of Hyderabad, Head Department of English, and so on and so forth. He was a teacher par excellence. He had an inimitable style of teaching which had enthralled and inspired numerous students. He had successfully illustrated to his students how literature could be enjoyed rather than endured. Professor Marathe never tired of reminding his students that it is life which inhabits literature. One of the guiding principles or the mottos of his teaching was read first and criticize afterwards. A stickler for correctness, accuracy, punctuality, Professor Marathe worked with a missionary zeal to raise the standards of his students. Perhaps no other teacher spent so much time as Professor Marathe did for one student. If a student took 2 hours to write an exam, Professor Marathe also took the same time or even more sometimes to correct the answer scripts of each student. He was a constructive critic of his students. Not only was Professor Marathe an exemplary teacher, but an exemplary human being as well. The outstanding quality of his personality was that, for all his punctiliousness and the respect he commanded, and for all the awe he inspired in his students, he was a shoulder to cry on whenever a student was in need of one. Professor Marathe was an inveterate nature lover and bird watcher. I wonder if there is any bird or beast Professor Marathe did not know about.
All the dignitaries on the dais, faculty members, invitees, Dr. Madhavi in special because she has a mention in Haripadma's book. I've gone through it, and all the students. I'm really delighted to be here this evening on the occasion of the release of a book written by Professor Haripadma Rani. The reasons being multiple. One, this is the first book published by Sri Padmavati Mahila Vishwavidya. We are soon bringing up a publication division on the university with the printing press as well, and this will lead to that. Under the grants given by PM USHA by the Government of India, funded partly by the state government, and because this is a book written by a student for the teacher. What a wonderful feeling for all of us being teachers ourselves. Hopefully one of our students will will write about us one day. Let's hope for the best. Yeah. It may tadastu devatu. Well, we all know teachers are role models for many, many young students. And in my Young Lives research, when we interviewed very young children, as old as 8, as young as 8 rather, one of the questions we would ask them to address the question related to aspirations. We would ask them, what do you want to be when you grow up? Not surprisingly, 70%, 70 to 80% of them said we want to be teachers. And the next question obviously would be why? They say because we want to be like our teachers. So this is the type of impact that teachers create on students. And generally we think that it is young children because of the foundation and the warmth that the teachers show. But this book tells us that teachers can also influence, have an impact on students who are at their master's level. What a wonderful narration it is in the book that has been given by Professor Haripadma Rani about her teacher, Professor Sudhakar Marathe. It is so real that when you go through all the conversations and the evidences that are there in the book, you feel that you are part of the campus. You feel that you are able to see what has transcribed between her and her teacher. So this is between the teacher and the student, Professor Sudhakar and today Professor Haripadma Rani. In this context, I think both are fortunate to have found each other. We may think that Haripadma is fortunate to have a teacher, but he is also fortunate to have a student like Haripadma Rani who didn't forget him. Years after her studies at the University of Hyderabad. Possibly she chose this teacher because many teachers teach, but few inspire. And one such teacher is Professor Marathe, because she remembers. So just to try to understand why she loved this teacher so much, and she thought of writing about him, is because he's a role model for all those who wish to be a real or a true teacher, or a good teacher. Teacher is a teacher, but I think a real and a good teacher is different from just being a teacher. And we can find this good teacher in Professor Marathe. Because he was not just concerned about the students, their performance, completing the syllabus, but he was one who was caring and concerned about the overall development of the students. I think this is where Professor Padma makes a mention about teaching of the teacher and the personality of the teacher. And when these two go together, that is what makes the teacher inspire many students in the class. On page 59, she talks about how caring and devoted teacher Professor Sudhakar was, because he never confined his teaching to the four walls of the classroom, nor to the subjects he was teaching. He worked with a missionary zeal to kindle the intellectual properties. His concern was to raise the standards of his students in whatever way possible. There are good number of live examples which are shared by Professor Padma, which reflect this. Whether it is on the handwriting or the pronunciation, the corrections that he would make on the answer scripts and the assignments. There are examples in the book. We wonder how he found so much time to comment on every part of the assignment, which is a very wonderful feedback that would be given by a teacher. If only we do 5% of what he has done, our students will be really very good. Or providing feedback. I think he provided individual feedback to many of the students on the request of one of his students in the class. And a detailed one, believe it. I think she also narrated an occasion when Alladi Uma wanted to meet him, moved into the room, tried to move into the room a number of times when Professor Padma was already there talking to him. Yeah, when Hari Padma was, already interacting with him. When you were in the 4th semester, and he was talking about how you need to use the interaction with teachers more trouble. Yes, he was talking about the intellectual trouble that Hari Padma was going through. And I think an hour-long discussion. He didn't care to respond to the faculty, through which Padma says that he preferred students to faculty in terms of time allocation, because the input on the student is more valuable and it helps them for the future. One thing I did want to mention about Padma's writing was the Kipling course and its contribution, wherein it contributed to the attitudinal shift towards the writer himself. Such a wonderful example, and out of which I think he brought out the motto for all of us to understand. And Professor Padma also mentioned about read first and criticize afterwards, because I think Padma said she didn't like to read one page of Kipling. But later on, after the course given by Professor Marathi, she understood the importance of that and the contribution he made to understanding about India, which we ourselves lack to a great extent. And finally, his love towards nature and contribution towards the biodiversity on the campus, which is missing today. I think one of the teachers then recently spoke to her and said that we don't find this on the campus today, it is missing. Well, that was Professor Marathi who inspired Padma, but on the other hand, as a student, teachers teach many students in the class, but only a few get inspired by the teacher. Not all of them, right? And Padma was one among them who got inspired by the teacher, because of which she tried to be like her teacher, and therefore this book, which has come out. No other chose to write. Therefore, we think that she has been the one who has been inspired most by her teacher. To her teacher, to her, the teacher is an invaluable resource, both inside and outside the class. She found her teacher to be unique, as he never confined himself to teaching the subject alone. He went beyond his way not to teach, but to make the students learn. There are good teachers, there are also good students. It's an opportunity that is required for the two goods to come together. The next thing is to make the best use of the opportunity. In this case, Professor Padma Rani got the opportunity to have a good teacher and to be a good student. She made use of this, and here is the outcome, a book about her teacher. Hearty congratulations, Padma.
Dignitaries on the dais, my dear faculty members, and my dear students, greetings of the day. At the outset, I would like to appreciate the relationship, the heartwarming relationship between a teacher and student has been very well elucidated by Professor Hari Padma Rani. While reading the book, generally we'll get some opinion about the book also. But actually speaking, I'm not the person to read the book from the first page to the last page. Okay, I read the book in a non-linear fashion. So in bits and pieces manner, whichever card will attracts me, whichever grab my attention, I will read those pages. But while reading this book, madam, I read only few topics in this book. So I could draw my own understanding that Professor Marathe was able to inspire and stimulate and motivate the students. And he created curiosity among the disinterested students also. So really, he was a very good teacher. So I read some of the topics in this book. Just I will mention those topics. Those are you a foreigner? Then results in the next day of the last exam. 2 days of a magical stay at their home in Serlingapalli, Hyderabad, and recommendation for my present job. So these are the few topics I read in that book. So here I would like to mention the narrative style of Professor Hari Padmarani ensures very ease of reading. So generally, I prefer the books with bold typograph, ample space between the lines, and very concise content with fewer pages. So Bharti madam ki chala baga telusu. Ma father kosam 2-3 books icharu with less number of pages. I used to read such type of the books. So this book is also that kind of the book. Actually, English department people brought a book means I thought that with a high language, with a very complicated words and everything. But really, it's a very easily understandable manner. And coming to the visual appearance, it's very attractive with the lavender color and with the charming face, Professor Marathe. Okay, so I think everyone will get very easy digestible reading experience after going through this book. So Hari Padmarani madam, I love to read your chapter that is related to your career path. How she mentioned in that topic how she entered into the APRJC and what made her to apply for the post in the SPMVV and how reluctant she is to join in the university also. So, but the entire topic, all those pages, so engaging. And those, that content made me to feel, what is called, it created a sense of presence. I felt that actually I was there observing that event, that situation. So really, the narrative style is very good. And I'm very sorry, madam, I didn't go through all the pages, only very few topics only. But in a few days, definitely I will give you the feedback of other topics also. Okay. Thank you. So, and the most interesting point in this topic is getting the reference letters from the 2 persons. So she posted only 1 reference letter along with the application. But the second reference letter from Professor Marathe reached the university directly. Okay, and 1 copy he handed over to Professor Hari Padmarani. But I think I came to know that she was very reluctant to join here. But her teacher greatest wish is to see her succeeded in the higher educational institute so that she got the reference letter on time also. And coming to the, I'm touched by your admiration for your teacher. It's clear that Professor Marathe made a very positive impact on Hari Padmarani. Really, he must be very proud to have such a student. It's wonderful to see such a type of gratitude and respect towards our teacher. As our Honorable Vice Chancellor Madam said, somebody will write about us in future. So love to see such type of books also. So congratulations, madam, on this occasion, and thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Respected Vice Chancellor of the university, dignitaries on the dais and off the dais, good afternoon. So while introducing me, Hari Padma, so I think you will be happy to call her Professor Hari Padmarani. So, so she called me as his guru. To tell you frankly, this crown of guru sits very loosely on my head. So even when I was teaching in the classroom long back, I used to tell my students that I am also a student in the classroom. The only difference between them and me was that I born a few years before them. And I had the opportunity of reading that textbook a few years before them. That was the only difference. Moreover, while teaching, I learned many things together with the students. And it is not embarrassing for me to tell you that I learned many things from my students also. There were occasions when students made the teacher to learn many things. So, this so-called Guru Sishya Parampara that we call appears very amusing to me. So, but the fact is that the truth is always a paradox. There are some great students and there are some great teachers also in the history of the mankind. So coming back to this book, there are two types of people in the world. Those who have limited potentiality, but they make use of it, make use of every iota of it, and turn out something that matches their potentiality. But there is a different group who have a lot of potentiality, but what they turn out is not a match to their potentiality, but we must be satisfied with what they have done. There is no other goal. Haripadma belongs to the second category. Don't think that I'm complaining, but let me confess to you that I was complaining at one time. Then I realized that the woman in Indian context has many obligations, many duties. She is not merely a teacher, not merely a writer. She has many other things to do in this world, many roles to perform every day. So whenever I look at this thing, I remember a beautiful story by Asa Purnima Devi, a noted, a renowned Bengali writer, who wrote a story called Bahurupi, in which she pointed out that the woman in India every day has to put on different roles. She must be a sister, daughter, mother, mother-in-law, and then physician, tailor, cook, and whatnot. She has many things to do. So we should not complain against them. But remember, the Indian woman is the backbone of the culture. So I have a lot of trust in what Sarath Chandra told long back. Woman is the backbone of the Indian culture. So it is they who preserve the culture even today. And so they have many things to do in their world, in this world. So what they have done, I think we must be satisfied with that. That this book finally came out from her, and it makes me really happy. This is a book about a teacher. So about a teacher in the Central University. His name is Professor Sudhakar Marathe. I had the privilege of meeting him twice or thrice when I went to the university. I heard his lectures. I saw him from a distance. In fact, my first meeting with him is very much like what she describes in this book. I saw him in the veranda, a long man with a bald head, with a French beard, with a cigarette in his hands. gazing at the people coming and leaving the building. So that was the first time that I saw him. Then very much like the other experience he related, when I was sitting in one of those rooms with a professor there, Professor Uma came there in the same way, but she spoke to him standing at the veranda and then left. So thus I too have some of these memories of the Central University. From this book, I learned many things about him. In fact, we meet people quite occasionally, but a book on them should make him intimate to us. In fact, I have a lot of intimacy with him because of this book after reading it. So he was a committed teacher. I have learned that he studied in England and then he came to India, very much like our professor, M.V. Ramasarma. So British education, I think it was ingrained in him. He was very much like a Britisher, very much composed and then reserved, cool, calculated. Britishers are known for it. I don't think that he might have ever laughed boisterously. He might have smiled, that's all. So he would be very cool and composed. I remember Septimus Warren Smith, but it's not good. It is not right to remember that character at this time. But they are known for it. Sudhakar Marathe seems to be a very good teacher, very earnest, sincere, hardworking, and the way that he taught, the way that he inspired the students is something unique. And many of the narratives of this book make him very much endeared, and it is heartening to read a book like this. So his fondness for the nature, all these things are beautifully narrated. So this book, as a book, it is a kind of an experiment. It is a biography. But I hope all of you who know Haripadma know that she is not interested in walking on a beaten track. So she wants to do something new, something novel. She experimented with the form also here. So this book is almost like a college where you can find different things combined together to give you a kind of an organic unity. So it is almost a college. Many things combined together. Many heterogeneous things, to put it in a different way. Reminiscences, memories, narratives, essays, lectures, letters, photos, many things. All of them are struck in such a way that you can get a beautiful picture. But college has an advantage. If you look at it from a distance, you get an image. From a different distance, you can get a different picture. And in the same way, if you look at it from a different angle, you will get another picture also. That is the strength of a college. That kind of experiment is there in this book. So it is beautifully done both in the concept and the execution. So finally, the outcome is really good, and so it is the way that a student remembered a teacher. So as your Vice Chancellor told, it is not easy to get a good student also. So you have many good teachers in the history, but very few good students. It is very difficult to get a good student, and teacher should be fortunate to get a good student. So whenever I think of it, I remember a beautiful story by Jayakantan, the great Tamil writer, one of the greatest writers of the contemporary period. The name of the story itself is Guru Peetam. So I'm not going too deep into the story, but let me tell you what happens there. There was a stranger who comes to a village, stays in a chowtri. He was very much like a beggar. He was starving also. He could not find food and he was very weak. After starving for 2 days, he was almost fallen into a swoon. Then suddenly he found a young man standing before him. When he opened his eyes, the young man folded his hands and requested him to ask anything that he wants. He needs many. He immediately asked him to bring him a cup of tea. The young man was ready to get it. Then when he was about to leave for the tea shop, the stranger asked him to get a pack of bidis also. Then the young man brought it. The young man, after coming back, told him that he has been observing him for a long time. He found that he was a great guru, and he began to interpret whatever he did afterwards. So when the guru looked at the sky, he used to interpret that the guru is telling you that the world is nothing but empty. When he stares at the earth, then the Shishya will tell you that the teacher is telling that everybody has to go into the earth after some time. That's how he began to interpret. Soon the interpretations became very popular. Many people began to flock around him. They used to ask him many questions, but the teacher began to answer in his own ludicrous way. But the students' answers are quite striking. So all the villagers are very happy. So they came with many questions and they went back happily. Finally, the guru became very, very happy. He was very much comfortable there now. So whatever he wants, that is there before him, food, fruit, money, everything. But after some time, suddenly the student disappeared. On the next morning, he found that the student is missing, but the devotees are coming. How to answer them? He tried to manage him, but after some time, he found that it is very, very difficult to answer him. On the next day, the devotees could not find the guru. They didn't know that the guru went in search of a Shishya. So that is the importance of a student. So we are in need of good students nowadays. India is a home of gurus. The moment you put on a saffron robe, you will become more popular. Very, very easy to become a god man now. But the problem is the lack of good students. So this is a time to think about the student-guru relationship. This is a very, very important thing in the history of the mankind. Fortunately, all said and done, we had many great teachers and we had many good students also. So this is a book on a teacher who was a student at one time by a student who was a student then, rather, who is a teacher at present. So at a juncture like this, what more can we do except saluting the teacher and complimenting the student? Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I'll be very brief. To all the esteemed dignitaries on the dais, Professor Haripadma Rani, and everybody in attendance, I'd like to take this opportunity on behalf of my mother, Meera, to thank Professor Haripadma for writing this book, honoring my father, Professor Sudhakar Marathe. And we are all touched by the way she has written this book, and we are all honored by the kind words that everybody has mentioned him in. And I've enjoyed reading the book, and I think whoever was involved in bringing out the publication of this book to be thanked. And it's a very good effort, and I'm sure my father would have been extremely proud of Haripadma, as he was of all his students. So thank you very much for this opportunity. And I wish Professor Haripadma all the best for future ventures. Thank you.
Me. Thank you very much, madam. Madams, I also thank my guru, Professor M. Narendra, for I have several gurus and he is one of them. Okay. And so it is not like the old Guru Sishya Parampara type. Okay. One guru, one student. It's not like, or one guru, many students. I belong to this Guru Parampara. No, there are so many. I belong to many Guru Paramparas. Okay. I also thank Professor T. Bharati, Dean Development, for the administrative support in processing the files through the UGC section. And I thank my colleagues in the department, Professor Y.S. Sharda, the head, Professor Neeraja, Professor Nirmala, and all the colleagues from the other departments. I also thank the members of the Marathe immediate family and the extended family who have attended the event online from different parts of the world. I also thank Meera, Mrs. Meera, and their daughter Kaumudi. Samir, thank you very much for your remarks at the end. I also thank the English fraternity from different parts of the world who have joined the meeting online. I thank the teachers from different departments of this university, Professor USHA, Professor Sujatama Madam, who is also the coordinator of PM USHA scheme. Thank you very much, Madam, for your support too, Professor Savitri, Professor USHA, and friends, Professor Dr. Sri Ramulu Garu, A. Malleswarrao Garu, former director, All India Radio, and Dr. Jayant Babu Garu, Dr. Madhavi Garu, Professor Vijay Lakshmi Garu, and everybody else who is present here, all my students. And of course, special thanks go to Brunda Vasudevan, okay, the one who helped me in editing the book. You might wonder, she's a professor of English herself, what kind of help could she have taken from Brunda? I'll just give you a couple of examples. I can't give you, because we have to hold a workshop to tell you the kind of input she has given. The reasons why I am writing this book are, I listed the reasons. She scored that out, and then just, why am I writing this book? Yeah, it made sense, okay. And the fact that she was there as an editor made me, very lax, and I just sent her everything raw without editing it myself. So thank you very much, Brunda, for all the support you have extended, for the moral support as well, not only for the editorial support. And I also thank Shobhita. Special thanks have to be said to Y. Rajalakshmi of the music department, who came and sang the prayer song this evening, because there is an interesting story about it. In 2011, we organized the National Poetry Conference. Professor Dwaram Vijay Lakshmi sang this very song as prayer. And Professor Marathe, when he started his speech, he alluded to this prayer song, and he said, Sabko Sanmati De Bhagavan. Can there be a better prayer than this? Sabko Sanmati De Bhagavan. So that's the reason why, I requested her to sing it, and she sang it. Thank you very much, Rajalakshmi, for that melodious rendition of the song. And I thank all the students of our department, as well as the students of the education department. I also thank the musician, Mr. Y. Kesaval Garu, the violinist, and my son's music guru. And I thank Narsimha Rao and the staff of Saveri Guest House and the staff of CNF for all the technical support, and everyone else who has directly or indirectly helped us in organizing this event so successfully. Thank you all.